Hey, what's up? It's Benjamin Gottlieb, and you are listening to Joe Ruggiero Inspired and the people who inspire him. I'm, of course, his producer. I'm sitting across the table today with Joe himself, and we're going to be talking about a number of things today, especially what it takes to get into the business that suits your needs and also your interests. Joe is a prime example of this, and Joe, so happy to be sharing this time with you and talking about what inspires you in your own intellectual pursuits. So thanks for doing this.
Well, it really was happenstance. It had to happen. And I can imagine people telling me that I needed to go into my own business. And I didn't believe them. And first of all, I had 3 kids, a mortgage, a wife that was a housekeeper, I guess.
Not quite a housekeeper, homemaker.
Homemaker, right. And,
sometimes the housekeeper, but more a homemaker, right?
So I really couldn't do it. And I can remember speaking to Bunny Mellon and telling her about the houses I visited and whatever. And then I produced a video with a visit that I made to Hubert de Givenchy's house, Le Jange, on the Loire. And
before you go on, give me a sense of time. What time frame is this?
Oh, that probably was in the early 90s.
Okay.
And I didn't start my own business until 94. So she said, well, why don't you cover my properties? I'm sure that, my husband would love to have a documentation. I said, Bunny, I've got a mortgage and I've got kids and I've got a wife and there's no way that I can do it. But it began a process that I thought about going into my own business. And I didn't have a benefactor. And I caution anyone who has the dream of starting their own business to have something that supports it. And at the time, I was working for Home Magazine, and they were moving the business back to New York, and I didn't have a job. And I was walking out with my, proverbial cardboard box with all my belongings and pictures, and the executives from Kohler were coming in as I was going out, and they said, where are you going? And we want you to be our spokesperson. And I said, well, I can do that. And they proceeded to say, and all you need to do is raise $10 million.
Oh, is that all?
For the Kohler marketing program. And I scratched my head, and of course, I immediately said, I can do that. And I went home to my wife and I said, help.
Right.
And she said, well, assured, you can do that. And I went out and I started, they gave me a list of potentials, which was helpful. And I got all the potentials, and then I added to that. But it was the first time I had to raise funds.
So it was more fundraising, less sales then. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I would say so. And then they came on board, and they sponsored all of my things for HGTV and helped me promote their program, which was a wise program because what they did is they got a consortium of advertisers. They put their name on the bottom, and they were able to market for the tune of a couple of $1 million in all the major magazines. But Old Man Kohler was a smart marketer, and I learned a lot. And then I was able to get Sunbrella Fabrics, and they supported a lot of my efforts.
I want to hear about Sunbrella and how that relationship materialized, because I don't think we've really covered it much in any of our conversations before. But before we move on, I think you're kind of passing over a really important fact here, which is that you started your own business later in life, right? You mentioned it was not until the early to mid 90s is when you really started.
Right.
I think there's that idea that it's difficult to reinvent yourself or to do something different the older you get. But you weren't deterred by that.
No, I wasn't. And actually, I wasn't ready. And of course, hearkening back to my dad, who said, don't go into the design business. And don't go into the restaurant business, because he used to call on a lot of restaurants because of his dealership having food equipment. So I think that my respect was going towards him. He never lived, neither did my mother, to see
Your business.
my business and my going into my own business. But I can remember my brother, because I was between jobs at that time, and I said, I need $5,000 to pay the mortgage. I'll pay you back. And I was able to start to kick in with my own business, and I wrote him a check, and I wanted to pay him back. He said, no, no, no. He said, remember this, tough times happen, but tough people do. And that rings in my head. And I think it does take a certain amount of institutional, or what do they call it?
Institutional knowledge.
Fortitude.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
To start your own business. But I think you can tell when it's right. And my daughter worked for me for 7 years. And she finally said, Dad, I don't know how you're going to take this, but I want to flex my own muscles and I want to start my own business. And I did not hesitate to say, you do what you feel is right, but make sure that you have the right support to do it. And she worked for a group called Kin Community and really learned the internet. And I mean, a lot of things she's taught me about the internet. But at any rate, when I was editor-in-chief of Home Magazine, I needed 20 yards of fabric immediately because we were doing a project and I needed a fabric. And I can remember the PR firm for Sumbrella saying, if ever you need fabric, contact us because we can provide it. And they gave me the 20 yards. So it got back to the executives at Sumbrella, and they approached me, and I can remember it as clear as can be, at a market. And we understand that you're a big fan of Sumbrella. We would like you
at a fabrics market or at a furniture
market.
Okay,
Yeah.
not the supermarket.
Right. No. Sorry.
Okay.
And at any rate, I said, I'd like to design a collection for you. Well, they were hit between the eyes. They said, well, we don't, license any names, but let me discuss it and see what happens. And they said yes. Wow. And they supported all of my projects. And at the time, I was doing a lot of projects for This Old House at WGBH. And I was starting to do a little television. And that's a funny thing, how HGTV happened.
Right. So, but before all those things happened, before the deal with Sumbrella, before the Kohler Company, before you started doing television, you were working basically in magazines and in prints, right?
That's right.
So, Home Magazine. What else were you doing before that? Well,
we were doing projects for, like, Traditional Home, House and Garden, all kinds of different magazines.
But at that point, were you considering yourself a journalist? Were you a tastemaker in the space?
I guess I was a journalist, but you remember, my wife and I started at CBS, and I had a communications master from Annenberg School at the University of Pennsylvania. So I was ready to do TV, and I still had that taste of performing. As I had mentioned, all through high school, all through college, I did the sets, I did the costumes, I performed. I didn't write any music. I tried to do that, but I didn't do that. So I tried to integrate performing, but I can remember my father saying, no Broadway, no design, no performing. And I guess that resonated with me until I was 60.
You bring it up a lot, and your father's influence on you.
Yeah.
It's almost like a gravitational force, even from after his passing, right?
Well, he was a unique guy. He was the power of positive thinking. And he lived through 2 wars. He lived through the Depression.
World War I and II?
Yeah. And he had great, he had a family of 5. Yeah. And my mother did not work. She should have worked because she had a lot of talent. But I just can remember his spirit. He was able to leap tall buildings in a single jump. And he left a big impression on me. And I was the baby of 5.
Right.
And yet he still sits on my shoulder when I make decisions.
It's really interesting, though, because he had this very, I would say, practical view. He wanted his children, including you, to be successful. And so in his mind, certain fields of work were not the path to success or independence from beyond when he's not around anymore. But I'm sure if you would tell your dad, hey, I became an entrepreneur, he would have been really proud of that.
I think so. I really do. Although he wanted me to come into his business, which my brother did. But my brother...
Selling cars?
No, selling food equipment.
Oh, it's food equipment.
Hobart Manufacturing, mixers and slicers and dishwashers and all of that kind of thing for commercial. And my brother became a magistrate, so he was a judge. And my father believed in sending us all to school as far as we wanted to go. But he had a caveat that we were to go to 8 years of Catholic grammar school, then 4 years of public high school, and then Catholic college.
How about that?
And
what a prescription that is.
And what a tab that was.
That's true.
My buddies always tell me about, taking out these college loans. And luckily I didn't have to do that because my dad worked hard, built a great business, and we were fortunate enough to have him pay the way.
Well, but again, that's what I'm getting at. Your father's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
100%. And I don't really hear you often refer to yourself in that way.
I don't.
Even though, Joe, I think from the outside, and we have some folks who are listening today, I think from the outside, it's very clear you were entrepreneurial. You started your own business. You started it within the confines and the means of your expertise, and you were successful in doing so. I mean, that's what an entrepreneur does.
Knock wood. Here, but the grace of God. But I never thought of it that way. My dad was an immigrant, came to this country when he was a young child, and I have a picture of him with his family when they first came to the United States. And he had a vision of the great land of opportunity. And I believe in that. And most people come here, make money because they can. And that's the thing that's wonderful about the United States of America. You're free to do whatever you wish, whatever you envision. And I never envisioned the business that I've built, and I'm not retired. And I will not retire. And my niece refers to it as being a member of the NFL, no finish line. And I like that because I don't see any finish line.
Well, I want to hear more about how the early days of the business and how you built that, because I think for your audience who listens, there's a lesson to be learned there that you can start your own business, you can build your own dream at any time in your life, right? I mean,
well, you can.
Joe, how old were you when the business started?
Well, I was in my 60s, early 60s.
It's incredible.
And I still have a great wife who, and this I would recommend, that you do have a family member involved in your business because you can trust them 100%. And I had a good lawyer, and I also had a good accountant because I'm not good with numbers. My wife is, and she really guided me. And she was very much, you can do it,
The support.
It's good to have that support, especially when it's so close to home.
And someone you trust unconditionally, sharing that with you.
And, I think I've mentioned this before. There was a cartoon in the New Yorker, and it's a husband sort of looking out the window at a snowy evening, and a wife coming up and putting her arm around him and saying, "Don't worry, honey, you'll happen." And I think that was really good. So I guess I'm happening. But I enjoy what I'm doing. And I think that that's the clue is that you've got to love what you do. And I love this. And I've been very fortunate to be able to meet you, thanks to my dear friend, your grandfather.
Well, it's been incredible meeting you two, and I love our time together. We met because of this country club that we're sitting
Right,
at, the Calabasas Country Club, where my cousin was married, where I officiated the wedding, and my grandparents who loom large in my life, who had such a large
Well, you're
influence.
the oldest grandchild.
Oldest grandchild, and I'm named after my grandfather's father,
Oh.
Benjamin Max Heller.
I
So
didn't know that.
there's the lineage element. There's a lot of things, and my grandfather to me has always been the second father, no question. I don't bat an eye thinking about that because of how influential he's been in my life. I mean, he was a young grandfather. I don't know if I told you this story. It's one of his favorites, and if you see him again, you ask him about it, he will gladly share this story because he tells anybody. But when I was younger, before I could talk, my mother was working. She worked at Guess Jeans she was a manager, and my father was going to law school. And I would spend a lot of time with my grandparents, with Gene and Marcia. And Gene, my grandfather, would take me around Los Angeles, and he would take me to Armstrong's or wherever he would go to get his gardening supplies. He loves gardening. And the cashier or the manager would be like, "Oh, your son is so cute." And your son is so cute.
Well, he still looks like a youngster.
And what do you think he would say? "Thank you very much." "Thank you very much." And the story goes, of course, I'm too young to remember. The story goes, when I started to talk, I would start saying, "Grandfather, grandfather," and that ruined it for him. So he would still take me, but the ruse was discovered, so to speak.
Well, he feels that you must call him grandfather.
Yes.
And he was insistent on that.
Absolutely.
No pops, Grammy, or grandpa.
But you know what? Yes, but the thing that's great about my grandfather, about Gene, is that he wants that, but he has a little bit of a smirk to it.
Yeah.
He's not blind to the fact that it's kind of a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny to him. Like, he likes it as a sign of respect. That's what he wanted to be called. But he also, if you look at him, he has that wry smile. It's kind of like, it's a little bit silly. He has a good sense of humor, which I don't think he plays up as much. But he really does have a good sense of humor. He's quite
What do
funny.
you call Marcia?
Grandma, like you would call
Not grandmother.
No, not grandmother, of course. No. Or Graham, we call her Graham. But yeah, it's again, just to get back to, enough about me, but to get back to about how we are connected. They're lovely, and my grandfather and my grandmother are both entrepreneurs.
Oh, yes.
My grandmother started her own women's golf and tennis clothing company.
Exactly.
With her friend Marcia, called Marcia Originals, and my grandfather had his own business, and this idea of entrepreneurship. I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. My uncle's an entrepreneur. My aunt's become an entrepreneur. My father has his own business as an attorney. And so I'm seeped in that. And now here I am talking with you. But they all started kind of a little bit sooner than you did.
Yeah.
60 years old, it takes a lot of chutzpah, which I think you understand what that word means. It takes a lot of, for those who are listening, a lot of courage, a lot of chutzpah to do something like that in your 60s.
Well, I
a
think
lot of people think
work-
you're done when in your 60s. You're done with reinventing yourself or doing something new.
Well, I think you work towards it, and you build a cachet of your talents. And had I not traveled the road that I traveled, I don't think I would have been able to have, the arrows in my quiver. But I did. I experienced a lot. And I always tell the youngsters that approach me, and they're all youngsters now, as I get on.
Well, Joe, that's the dream, is to be surrounded by youngsters, right? 'Cause that means you've lived a
it
long
is.
life. Right.
It is. And, I always like to refer to my young geniuses. And it's so important because, we lose people who are our peers on a daily basis.
Unfortunately,
all the friends. But the time comes when you have to go to your reward. And hopefully I encourage people to live a good life. That's why it's so important that I keep having, she giggles when I call her church lady, but faith. Mm-hmm. I think we all need faith at this time. And, you can call her my little angel that sits on my shoulder and keeps me, on the straight and narrow. And I don't know much about the Bible. And she does.
I guess that Catholic school didn't work so well.
No, they encouraged me with my artistic abilities. And I can remember Sister taking me out of church and saying, we want you to recreate that boat that you drew in class. I think I was in kindergarten or first grade. First grade.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, this is the first person that has ever encouraged my art that isn't my parents. And they were very good to me in terms of encouraging my creative. And when you have a person that does that, as a matter of fact, everyone was so complimentary when I suggested that your cousin, I guess,
Yeah.
was married here.
Yeah.
And they kept coming up to me and, Mr. Ruggiero, thank you so much. And I turned to Gene, your grandfather, and I said, am I getting the bill for this? I was hoping not, because it was a beautiful wedding
Sure.
with 220 people.
Yeah, it was
but
great.
you guys have a great assemblage of nephews and these, one niece.
Yes.
And I told you,
And now a great granddaughter with my daughter. Right?
which is great,
Yeah.
because those girls.
Oh, too, and Billy and Alejandra, they have a little daughter now too.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah.
Of a man of grandsons and
Right.
cousins,
And great
to have three
daughters.
girls.
Yeah.
But you know about the story with your aunt, the entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Jean had told her that I was going to be coming to give a luncheon for designers to talk about Sombrella and bringing it indoors. And that's why Sombrella is so good to me. And he said, you really should attend this, luncheon. And she's like, well, Dad, I've got all these other things but okay, I will. We became fast friends. She took over the luncheon. She's very public relations
Definitely.
oriented. So she had the chops to start her own business. And I just got the biggest kick out of her. And we've remained friends. As a matter of fact, she's a great listener to this podcast.
Yeah.
And
Definitely. No. And she is someone else who has also started her own business later
Right.
in life. So I guess, Joe, what I'm getting at, we're nibbling around the edges and having a fun time chatting, which I always love chatting with you. Sorry, audience, we're getting into it together. But what's the secret, Joe? What is the secret to finding the courage late in life to do what you've done, which is really build a business around, and correct me if I'm wrong, but build a business around yourself and your expertise?
well, that's the brand. I've learned because I am a learner. I love to observe people. I'm very, very happy being able to do this because it excites me, learning about people. And we've often talked about maybe this should be called journey. But I like inspiration because it inspires me. But I really felt that I had a vision. And if you're a sailor, when you get to a destination, you tack. You go left, you go right, and then you finally get there. And that's the way my career has been. That's the way it's been fashioned, is I've picked up inspiration from Givenchy and from Phyllis Diller and all of the people I've been able to brush shoulders with. And I can't take all the credit. I've observed how they have done it. And I've always thought I could do that. And I had confidence in myself only because of my wife, because I don't have confidence.
So is that the secret then? Is the lesson here surround yourself with people who support and build you up
And inspires you.
and inspire you, and that's what it takes to find the confidence in yourself?
I think so. I have a bag of tricks that's very disjointed, basically, but it all works off the same page. It's design and TV and communications. And you can say that I maybe learned that from the Annenberg School because I graduated with honors, and I didn't even expect it. And I can remember my buddies poking me with 2,000 people at graduation, the University of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
And they said, would those of you who are graduating with honors please stand? And my friends poked me and said, stand up. I didn't even think of it. And, so I was so engaged in whatever I was doing.
Right.
But I do love what I do. And I think that comes across.
There's no question. So, I mean, and we've talked about that before. You have to love what you do to be successful at it. If you don't love what you're doing, it's going to be more difficult to motivate yourself to, go beyond the bounds of what's expected, right? And I think entrepreneurship at its core is a celebration of breaking boundaries, going beyond what's expected, going beyond what's been done before. And you're a great example of that. But again, I think for the audience, for the folks who are listening, who are maybe inspired by you and what you've been able to do, maybe they don't have the same skill set, obviously. I think you have
Well, you can buy it.
Sure.
You can engage those talents that you don't have by supporting it. Like, I'm not a lawyer, and I had to hire a lawyer, and I'm not an accountant, and I had to hire a CPA. And so I had to do that. No man is an island. You need,
Right.
You need support, and that's why I'm so blessed that I have these young geniuses that can help, keep the bubble going.
Well, and I love being called a genius once a month. So I that's why I keep coming back, is for that dopamine hit. Okay, so understanding what you're good at, understanding what you are deficient at,
And have a good partner.
and having a good partner.
And, marriage is a great institution if you love institutions. But if you get the right partner, that is a collaboration. It's a team effort. And whenever I said to my wife, you're going to have to go out and work because we're kind of short,
Right.
she was like, where do I go? And she became a vice president at the Pacific Design Center as a result of my needing her help.
After not really working for much of her adult life, right?
Right. And she learned my business, which she didn't know much about. She was more a TV gal, but she understood, and she took charge, and she became a vice president of the Pacific Design Center, and she excelled.
Well, let me ask you this, because I think for anyone who would hear this story, it'd be difficult not to be inspired. But in this moment we find ourselves, and you, of course, have lived through many different moments, but in this moment we find ourselves, there is, I think, a disturbing amount of apathy, of resignation about how things are and can be. I think there's a lot of fear that we live with. And those feelings are antithetical to what you're talking about: optimism, faith, entrepreneurship. These things kind of, they operate on different sides of the same coin. What's your antidote for listeners or for folks who struggle with some of these negative projections and feelings about life?
Well, I think that's why I have such faith in the people who think positively, because it can carry you through. We all have our tragedies. I've lost my parents. I've lost my son. That was tough, losing a child. But we carry on. And anyone who doesn't realize that you can speak to those people up there and they answer you. And I've seen it happen. And I've never been a believer in numerology, but I see numbers and I feel that that's the way he communicates. And it's scary sometimes because they can communicate. And I say, listen to the universe. Trust your instincts. Trust your vision. And who would have ever thought when you were in school that you were going to do podcasting?
No idea. Would not have thought that. Yeah.
It probably didn't exist then.
It was in its infancy, or certainly didn't exist. Yeah, I thought I was going to become, I wanted to be a journalist, but I thought I was going to be a print reporter.
Yeah.
And when I got to graduate school, I also went to the Annenberg School, just not in Pennsylvania, here in Los Angeles. I just told myself I'm going to do everything. I did television, I did radio, I did podcasting, I wrote. And I'll never forget when I started to date my now wife, and I saw how she could write. I said, there is no way I'm going to be able to compete with a writer like this. And so, I mean, she was just way more talented than me. But I was good at storytelling, talking to people, relating with people. And so radio and podcasting became a very easy transition because I could celebrate those skills, and my writing didn't have to be as complex. It was less the complexity, it was the speed in which she could write.
Right.
A really good writer can write, 1,200 words of clean copy in an hour. That would take me a whole evening, right? I'm sitting there, I'm just laboring over every word, but she's just such a great writer.
I have an idea for her
Let's hear it.
because I'm not a writer.
Right.
And I feel I'll speak to her because I don't want to talk about this idea.
Okay,
I think she's gonna.
We're gonna leave a little breadcrumb here on the podcast. Secret from my wife. Secret discussion from Joe. I like it.
Yes. Now, is she a playwright?
She's not a playwright, but she has an incredible appetite for reading. I mean, this is the kind of person that can read an entire book in a weekend.
Yeah.
And she does it often. And she loves reading and writing. She's really into storytelling. Right now, she's working for a video game company, helping them write a lot of their communications. But I could definitely see her writing her own stories. I think that's on the horizon for her.
Well, I've got an idea, which is a multi-million-dollar idea.
Okay, well, don't share it here because I don't want anyone else to hear about it.
I just can't write. I mean, I can envision it and I can speak it, but I can't put it to words. But I think she's the one.
Well, I don't know a better writer.
Okay.
And I know a lot of writers.
Well, to be continued.
To be
Another
continued,
member of the Heller dynasty.
Come by the Ruggiero podcast and listen. You'll get your multi-million-dollar business idea from Joe.
That's right. That's right.
Joe, just some closing thoughts here. I think we've covered a lot of great stuff. I'm always inspired sitting with you and chatting with you, and I'm curious what you think about this idea of longevity and what that allows you to do as, a complete human, right? I think we're often, most of us, we're working to better ourselves, to round ourselves out, to complete our understanding of our existence and our life. The beautiful things like marriage, the tragedies like death and losing loved ones. As you get older, and I'm sorry to ask a question, I hope it doesn't sound ageist, but as you get older, what are things that you're realizing and learning that you just didn't quite grasp as a younger man?
Well, I've learned a lot about medicine. I've been in the hospital these past couple of months, having a great urologist. And I never had trouble with my health, but I have had several, operations. You just take it. You've got to go visit your doctor. I had a sister, God bless her, and her husband. They were afraid to go to the doctor because they didn't want to hear any bad news.
Oh, gosh.
She could have been saved, and he could have been saved. But I think that it's so important that you go to the doctor. And I was thrilled to hear that, your grandfather's going to the doctor because I don't think he believes in them.
Well, I don't.
Does he?
I don't want to besmirch my grandfather. No, he believes in doctors. I just think. I mean, yes, I would be surprised if he doesn't. He's just, he's very much an evangelist of fitness.
Yeah.
Both
very much
both
so.
mental and physical fitness.
Yes, and that's inspiring to me because I've been going to the gym since I was 15 years old, and it's I would come home from
Are you back
commuting.
in the gym?
I am.
Great.
But chair yoga.
Yeah.
I'm starting slowly to get back because I nearly had a heart attack, because I went to a good cardiologist, and he said, ease up on the exercise because you could have.
That's when you had the stents put in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could have been a number, drop dead in the gym, and some people do. So I would say, get a checkup.
Yeah.
Make sure that your ticker's still ticking. And then you can start lifting weights. But I always believed in it. And doctors have told me at this age that I don't know. How old are you, should I say?
Me?
No, me.
Sure, whatever. Well, I'm 38. How old are you, Joe?
84.
84.
But it's going to
Baruch
change
Hashem.
because this segment is going to live forever, right?
That's right.
Long after I'm gone. But at any rate, I think it's important to realize that at this age, anything can happen. So keep it checked.
Do you live like that? Do you live like
No. Someone asked me the other day, do you wake up happy? I said, yes, absolutely. I'm vertical. I mean, I can see the great outdoors,
By the way, I'm jealous. The course looks incredible today. They just overseeded the course, and I want to play. But yeah, so you wake up, but I guess you wake up thankful then.
Yeah, I'm an early bird. I get my 8 hours, but I'm early to bed, early to wise. So makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Someone told me you always come up with those cheesy colloquials.
Right, yeah. They're endearing. I like them. They're endearing.
Yeah.
Joe, you're endearing. You're inspiring. This program is called Joe Ruggiero Inspired. And by the way, if you're still listening, which I hope you are, Joe's been doing this program for a long time. We've grown an incredible audience. We are so thankful to everyone who has listened to this show up until now, all of our fans, all of Joe's supporters. And this show is not done. Joe has a lot more exciting interviews that he's going to be doing through the end of this year and into next year, where we're really looking also for sponsorship for this program so that Joe can keep doing it. If you like what Joe has to share, his perspective, the levity and the kindness, the intellectualism that he brings to his conversations, if that's the kind of antidote that you need to the, other crap that's out there that we have to listen to, this doom and gloom, anxiety, this division that we live within, support us, support the program.
Spoken as a great public broadcasting person.
We need your donations now. Call 1-800-KC. No,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I've done a few fundraising campaigns.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Joe. Let's do it again.
Okay.